In this video, we finally got camping season started with a backpacking trip. And this just happened to be Redford's very first overnight backpacking trip. He's done a lot of hiking and a lot of RV camping, but he has never slept in a tent and he's never carried his own backpack. So this was going to be quite the adventure, but Red loves getting out into nature and exploring. So this was going to involve about a 5-mile hike around Round Valley Reservoir to the wilderness camping area on the other side of the lake. We'll show you some of the gear that we got for this trip to make backpacking with a dog a successful experience, and you'll get to enjoy some beautiful sunrises and sunsets on the Round Valley Reservoir. So I hope that you will join us as we let new adventures begin.
So don't let the weight of the world slow you down. And if you search for the meaning of life, it won't be found. So take your insecurities and leave them all behind. Let's learn to make the most of our time.
We are packed and heading out on our first trip of the year, and we are so late. We would usually start traveling like the beginning of April, but the Jeep got hit by a deer. That took weeks and weeks to get fixed. We've been getting ready for the wedding, which is in a little over 2 weeks now. We've been trying to plan the honeymoon. There's a lot going on. So finally, the very end of May, we are getting out on our first trip. And originally this was supposed to be a kayak camping trip. We were going to kayak across this lake and go camping on the other side of the lake. It thunderstormed yesterday. It was severe thunderstorms. There was a threat of hail, so we scrapped that plan and stayed home yesterday. And today we decided that we're going to backpack. So we scrambled, packed all of our stuff. We haven't gone backpacking in like 2 years. And today is this guy's first backpacking trip. He has never slept in a tent, so this is going to be interesting. I hope he sleeps. And he has never gone backpacking with us. He's worn his backpack when we go hiking, but this is his first like out overnight camping trip, so pretty exciting. Pat is getting us sandwiches because we didn't even have time to eat. We were just trying to pack and get ready, and we're gonna be up in North Jersey in about 2 hours, and crossing our fingers that the weather is better today because the thunderstorms are still kind of in the area, but I think we should have better luck today. You excited? He was sitting in the Jeep for about an hour and a half this morning waiting for us while we were getting packed. He would not get out because he thought that we were going to leave without him, so he was bound and determined to go on this trip. He's really excited. Oh, a little sleepy, but mostly excited. We made the 2-hour drive from our house up toward Round Valley Reservoir, and there was still a threat of some rain and some thunderstorms, but no hail, and the skies were looking blue as we set out on our trip, so we were hopeful that the weather was going to cooperate. Last year we camped at Spruce Run, which is located just next to Round Valley, but since this is a wilderness campground, we were hoping for a more pleasant experience. We parked in the parking area just past the check-in station, and we set out on the almost 5-mile hike to get to site number 28. As soon as Red had his backpack on, he was pretty eager to hit the trail. There we go.
Alright, I'm sniffing all day.
Since this was our first time backpacking in over 2 years, we were actually pretty surprised with our hasty packing that our backpacks didn't feel too heavy. We really like the gear that we have right now, and it was working out well. There is no poop fairy. We're the poop fairy. We just started, and there's the entrance station where we checked in, and actually you could just grab the trail right here, but there's the view of the reservoir. and we were talking to a couple other people in the parking lot, and they said it is kind of a strenuous trail, because I read every different thing online. Some people said it was really easy, some people said it's very rocky, steep, and difficult. So I don't know, it's hard because everybody's gauge is a little bit different with that stuff, so we will see for ourselves. The reviews that we read online stated that it's not the most picturesque trail, and I agree with that. We went through areas with some fencing. They are doing construction on the dam for the reservoir, so part of the trail has been rerouted. And there are some very pretty sections like this, and especially in the spring we got to enjoy some wildflowers. Let's see, so we've been going an hour and 32 minutes, and we're at the split where the red trail goes up there, and we're gonna go down here toward the lake for the campgrounds. It hasn't been bad so far. No. Really, not strenuous, not by my perception anyway.
I would just suggest just bring actual backpacking gear. Yeah,
we've seen some interesting people, you know, carrying...
Don't bring the Yeti cooler.
Carrying lots and lots of stuff, bags and things like that. But it's signed very well, so I could see where it's a good beginner's backpack. And I would say good shoes, because the trail is a little bit rocky, so if you're wearing sneakers it would beat your feet up. But other than that, very nice so far. Yeah. Good forested area.
Water?
If you're gonna run that for 10 minutes, you're gonna... That's a workout in itself. It looks pretty clear.
Yeah, that's fine. And you gotta figure people have been using it.
Yeah. This is pretty though.
Yeah.
It's a nice setting. Good woods. And the trail that we're on right now is actually paved. So once you get down to the campground loop, you're on paved ground and you got these bathroom areas. So pretty neat for a backpacking experience. It's like a kind of a cushy backpacking experience. As we got into the campground, we stopped at this water pump to fill up all of our water containers, because this was near site 7 and it was quite a bit of a walk to get to our site, which was 28. And we didn't know how much of a walk that it was going to be, but we knew this was the only water source, so we took advantage. 2 hours and 20 minutes, okay. Not bad. It's 6 o'clock right now. We found the site. We gotta walk down toward the water because we're 28W. Doesn't look like much of a trail.
Yeah.
But the guy in the parking lot said 28's a good site. He was trying to get that one. So that was a good random pick for campsites. And this guy's doing pretty good. You good, Red? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Probably wants his bed.
Alright, let's go set up the tent. Getting from campsite 26 over here to 28, kind of a mess. So there's the lake. That's where we would have come up if we were doing the kayak in. Oh, he's got his pack off and he's rolling. So that's actually a good looking campsite. A little bit off the trail though, definitely secluded. That's nice, we like that. I originally picked campsite 28 because it was a waterfront site that you could kayak or boat into, and it looked like it was fairly close to the bathrooms and the water source. But the map is kind of deceiving. Everything is pretty spread out, and it's a fairly long walk in between. Just to get from site 7 to 28 took us a little over half an hour. So it definitely is spaced out, which is nice. And the campground was not full, which was great for Memorial Weekend, but just because it wasn't full didn't mean it was necessarily quiet. People were definitely in a party mindset, but since the campground was pretty spaced out, we were able to enjoy some privacy, and we had our own little path that went from our campsite down to the reservoir. And we are already looking forward to coming back with our kayaks so that we can enjoy this beautiful reservoir. So there's site 28, and we really can't see our neighbors, which is great. We are not used to that. Here's the lake. The ground over here is pretty uneven and sloped, so we're kind of having a hard time finding a good tent spot. But I think we'll be able to find a good hammock spot, so that's good. Need your trekking poles. It's a little muddy, the trail coming in. The Round Valley Reservoir was created in 1960 with the construction of 2 dams that allowed the valley to flood. Now, prior to that, there was a small town in the valley, and after the people left, some of the foundations are still visible if you scuba dive into the lake. Besides scuba, because of the clear water, fishing is very popular. There is a swimming beach on the other side of the lake, and of course, kayaking. This would have been a pretty long kayak trip. I'm actually sort of glad that we hiked instead. That's what I was just saying. This would have been some work.
Yeah.
I think
the wind's pushing everything this way, so.
Yeah.
Because I think we would have to, what, go that way? Or would it be over there?
I'm not sure.
I feel like we passed that. That's the dam, right?
Oh.
Or is that the dam we passed? And it's over there.
I don't know. These people are camping right on the water.
Yeah.
Can you? Well, this is way too wet.
Yeah.
We could not camp down here. This is just mud. But that's kind of a neat concept.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the other areas are drier.
Yeah.
I could see where it's hard to find your spot from the water, because like how would you...
Barely.
Oh, you could barely see the 28. It would be tricky. You like it? It's pretty neat. The campground at Round Valley is dog friendly, which can be an unusual thing in New Jersey, so Redford was pretty excited. Get the sound of the waves without being on the ocean.
Yeah. A little bit of wave on the side.
Yeah, the wind. Redford was pretty overjoyed with the situation. He could roll around in the grass, he could splash around in the water, he just did not know what to do with himself first. So he was having the greatest day ever. And we were so proud of him on the hiking portion. He did great, especially because the rangers told us to be prepared for about a 3 to 4 mile hike, but it actually ended up being 5 miles. We couldn't get accurate information on the mileage because the trail had been rerouted from the construction on the dam. So we really weren't sure exactly how far we were going, but I'm glad that we didn't pick a campsite farther in, because then it would have been quite a long hike. And especially with a dog, you have to be careful to make sure you don't overdo it and keep an eye on their paws. He is dirty. You getting dirty? Hi. Oh yeah, you're dirty. I think if we ever kayak in, 28 would definitely be a great site, but we should bring binoculars because you're never going to see that little sign from the water, or at least not easily. I mean, you could see it if you knew where you were looking, but it would not be easy, especially if you're here for your first time. I think binoculars would really help to just scan the shoreline to find your site number. But this is a very different camping experience from what we have ever done in New Jersey, and it's really the only official wilderness camping experience in the New Jersey State Park system. There's a couple backpacking sites in South Jersey and things like that, but this is really, I guess, like a larger scale wilderness campsite. So definitely glad we got to do this. I'm glad the weather finally cooperated so we could get out. Now we just got to figure out a tent site. The view of the lake is obstructed by some trees, but it does give you more of a sense of privacy in your campsite. It's fairly quiet for a holiday weekend.
Quiet as you're gonna get.
You can hear a little music into the distance, some family groups kind of yelling, but as quiet as you're gonna get for a holiday weekend, I would say. is a good option. All right, you thinking tent over here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's as flat as it's gonna get. Got dinner tonight is pad thai with chicken and yellow curry. It looks pretty good. I put a little too much water in the pad thai. We got tent set up on the flattest spot that we could find. I think it's gonna be okay. It seems like it'll be all right. Hammock is set up and the sun is going down. So, pretty good timing. Get everything settled in before it starts to get dark. Hopefully Red will also settle in because he's a little crazy. He's like on sensory overload right now, so hopefully we'll get to sleep tonight. How cool he is.
Yeah.
I was about to throw this stick in the fire.
Yeah.
I'm glad I saw the snail here. He's so neat. I'll give him a new home so he can use this stick. Yeah, this fire was tricky to get started. We didn't bring fire starters, but there's some like dried branches down by the water, so that helped. But this one was some work.
Yeah. If we videoed it, it wouldn't.
Yeah, people would not have been impressed with our fire starting skills. We got it though. That's really the important thing. Well, it rained for the last 2 days, so all the wood is pretty wet. That doesn't help.
Red finally went to the...
Oh yeah, Red's in the tent. He's done.
He actually physically went to the tent.
He walked
Wagged his
over.
tail.
He was like staring at the tent, just like he does with the Scamp when we're
Yeah.
camping.
I didn't think he was gonna do it.
He was like falling asleep out here, so he went to bed. Since Red went to bed nice and early, he was up and ready to go with the sun the next morning. Most of the time, Redford and I like to sleep late. But on those days when we are camping, for some reason, we both tend to wake up early. Redford usually wakes me up because he wants to go out, and then we end up taking a morning walk together. Missing out on a little extra sleep is totally worth it. So we get to enjoy these beautiful sunrises together and soak in some quiet before the rest of the campground starts to wake up. Here's the bear bag. It's a little hard to see, the bag is green. But when we were coming in yesterday, I thought that they were going to have bear boxes at the campsites, but when I talked to the ranger, they said, no, you have to hang your food. So I had a really hard time. I spent like, I don't know, 20 minutes, half hour walking around looking at the trees, and most of the trees, like this one, there's no low branches at all. So I had to search and search. The tent is over there, and I finally found this branch here, which took me like 5 or 6 tries to throw the rock over, but I'll show you my trick. It's been a long time since I've had to bear bag, so definitely rusty. This is the bag with our tent stakes in it, and I put a rock in it because it's easier to take a rock and throw it. Actually, you can see I put a hole in it from dragging it, but that is what I actually threw over the branch. And then once you have it over the branch, you just make sure you have enough rope. I tied paracord with this other rope, and then you wrap it around the tree, and then you hope. I actually could have probably left it a little lower so that raccoons couldn't get it, but it looks like it's intact, so I think we have a successful bear bag. When you do a bear bag, you have to put everything in there that has a scent. So toothpaste, deodorant, sunscreen, all of our toiletries. Luckily I brought a pretty big bag. This is our trash bag. And I even, if I have room, I will throw in like our utensils and stuff because, I mean, we're camping, so they didn't get cleaned super well. So I feel like they might still have a scent. So if I can fit them, I'll put that stuff up there. And Redford's food, that will definitely attract animals. And then everything else is just our food for the rest of the trip. So anything that has a smell, we always go back and double check pockets, and I search my backpack to make sure there isn't like a chapstick or something floating around in a pocket, because there usually is. But yeah, pretty happy that I was able to get the bear bag to work. Wasn't sure. It's been a while. Guy's hanging out in the tent, just relaxing. He's not even, oh, you taking a nap? Okay. He's on top of my sleeping bag. He's doing great today. Yesterday, he was a little bit of a maniac, kind of just running around like crazy when we got here, which was surprising because I thought he was going to be tired after that hike, but I think he was just like overwhelmed. And today he's actually way more relaxed. I'll show you a couple of the new things we got for this trip. These are Red's food and water bowls, and this was actually a gift from my boss for Christmas, well, a gift for Redford. They're just plastic, and they have like a zip lock at the top, so I can put his food and water in it. They fold completely flat. They slid right into his backpack. And if he doesn't eat all his food, I can just close it up with that in it. Or if he doesn't drink all of his water, I can save that so I don't have to dump it out. And then here's Red's new leash. This was actually sent to him by a company called Atlas. And they make this lifetime dog leash and harness. We don't have his harness because he's wearing his backpack. But as you can see, he has broken in his leash really well. But I love the clip here. Is very easy to open, and the part is metal because his old leash, we actually broke this because I don't know, Red is not delicate. And then this is my favorite thing, actually. This is a dog poop bag that attaches to the leash. We used to just pull bags off and like tie them onto leashes so that we would have like 4 or 5 of them with us, but if we're doing a trip, we can bring an entire roll of them in here. There's a zipper to refill it, and it's always just on the leash, which has been great, especially on this trip. And the other thing that we got new, which Pat was just using when he took his nap in the hammock, are new pillows from REI. And these pack down, I mean, not super small, they fold probably about half of this size, but they're full of these foam chunks. So you can pack it down a little bit, but it's so much better than the inflatable pillows that we had before, because they would always deflate in the middle of the night and they were kind of an odd shape. Not comfortable at all. So we definitely slept better than usual with our new pillows. So yeah, that's all the new gear for the trip. When the guys were done napping, it was time for a walk. Okay.
Good.
We are going for a walk to get water.
Who's walking me?
Oh, Redford's taking himself for a walk. See,
Appreciate it.
he's a good tester for a leash because he's rough. Yeah. We're gonna see. Okay, it is 5:51 right now. We have to walk from site 28 to Site 7 to get our water. And I wish that we had brought our water filter. When I talked to the ranger, they said because this is a reservoir, you're good to use a water filter to pump water out. So we could have filtered our own water. That would have saved us this walk, but I'm kind of curious to see how far it is anyway. And hopefully tire out Red a little bit more so he sleeps better tonight. He did pretty well last night. I was surprised. He did better than I thought with all the sounds and stuff. I get a little jumpy my first night out camping when you hear like twigs and stuff breaking, so I think he actually did really well. Right on cue. He's good at this. It is nice having that many bags though, because we use them. One of the things I added is this knot here because I realized Red likes to see squirrels and things and will pull, and that lets me keep a little better control over him and not get rope burn from this sliding through my hands. So that was a good little addition. They do have bear safe trash containers and a little reminder of bear safety. Make sure you don't run, and with black bears you don't play dead. We made it back with our water, and it's almost 7 o'clock right now, so it took an hour and 10 minutes. I did not think it was going to take that long. I don't remember it being that far when we were coming in. And we stopped at the bathroom for the pit toilets, and they were a little scary. They were covered in cobwebs. The one Pat went into, he said it was like full to the brim. So I'm really glad we have a super secluded site, and we brought our orange shovel because that has come in handy. But I do wish we brought our water filter. It would have been great if we could have just gone to filter water, but it was a nice walk. I mean, the sun's going down. The forest looks super pretty right now with the sunlight going through it. So it was a nice walk, and we needed a little exercise today anyway. It was mostly just nap and relaxing day. So now we're gonna make dinner. On the menu tonight, we're trying these little cup of soups. It's like a Thai lemongrass soup. It smells really good. That's a new one. And then we have rice and chicken and Mexican style adobo. So very ricey tonight. But the Mountain House meals have been good. It's easy. Yeah, very easy. The dinner is pretty good. We're doing these tahini bars for dessert. These are great. They're small, and if you like tahini, they're really good. So there's dessert, and then time for a fire. One of the best things about camping at Round Valley Reservoir has to be the sunrises and sunsets. Every night and every morning that we were there, we were treated to beautiful colors across the sky that reflected in the water. Luckily, our second night there, the wood was a little drier, and we seemed to have worked out the issues with getting the fire started, so we were much better at it the second night. Once again, Redford was the first one to go to bed. He doesn't like when it gets dark out. He feels more comfortable going into the Scamp when we're RVing, or in this case, going into the tent. So he got to bed nice and early, so he was ready to get up nice and early. We hope that you are enjoying this video from Let New Adventures Begin. If you'd like to support the growth of our channel, make sure that you are subscribed, hit the notification bell so you know as soon as we release new videos, and leave a thumbs up. You may also consider sharing this with someone else that you think might enjoy our videos. If you want to support our channel in another way, check out the links below for our Patreon and Amazon affiliate links. But most importantly, thank you for being here and sharing this journey with us. Now let's get back to the video. Good morning. Okay. Okay. After he was well rested, Redford was anxiously awaiting his morning walk. And just like all the other mornings, we were greeted to a beautiful sunrise and a nice, quiet, peaceful lake before all the other campers got up and before there were boats out on the reservoir. This perfectly still, clear body of water actually comes with some rather unsettling stories. Round Valley Reservoir is also known as the Bermuda Triangle of New Jersey because 26 people have drowned in the reservoir and 6 of them were never found. There are stories of fishermen getting their anchors snagged on things and then being pulled from the boat. There are stories of strangely colored lights hovering above the water at night, and lots of other unexplained occurrences. Since there was a small farming community on this piece of land before it was flooded and turned into a reservoir, they say that there are still many structures in the valley that are intact underwater, and there's also a lot of debris in there because not everything was cleaned out. So they say that there are lots of things that you can get snagged on, and it can actually be rather dangerous to go into the water. So I recommend swimming only at the swimming beach, which is at the far end past the parking area, and making sure that you are wearing a life jacket if you are kayaking or doing any sort of water sports so that you stay at the top of the water. This was our last morning at the campground at Round Valley Reservoir. So I started to make breakfast, our usual oatmeal, which is always an easy breakfast when we are backpacking. Just boil water and throw it together. We were going to start to pack things up to start the 5-mile hike back to the car. This was such an enjoyable campsite for the weekend. Since it was a holiday weekend, we were very lucky to have a site that was so secluded, and even though it wasn't the quietest experience in the campground, it was probably the best we were going to get for a holiday weekend, especially being this close to a lake. We started to pack our stuff into our backpacks, which was a bit of a challenge, especially packing the second time. For some reason, that's always harder. And our pillows worked out great. We slept so much better than we used to with our inflatable pillows. So we're definitely going to be sticking with our giant, oversized pillows that are not really meant to be for backpacking. Red got saddled up with his backpack, which was also a little bit lighter, Now that he had eaten some of his food, and we didn't have to carry as much water on the way out because we knew that we would be able to fill up when we got back to the ranger station. I folded up his food and water containers. These worked out great. They're going to stay in his backpack so that every time we go out, they are going to be his food and water bowls because they are very light, they are resealable, and they fit great in his rough wear backpack. So happy with our sleeping gear and happy with the gear that Redford has. But most importantly, Redford was really good on this trip, so I think that he's going to get to do some future backpacking trips. The day that we were hiking out was a bit warmer than the day that we had hiked in because right before we hiked in it had been raining, so that made it nice and cool, made the hike feel easier. So it definitely felt more challenging when we were hiking out, but we had peace of mind because we had already used the All Trails app to track the mileage and we knew what the terrain was like. So we just took our time, we took more breaks and paused in the shade and made sure that we stayed hydrated, but it definitely felt more challenging on the way out because of the heat. Made it. I felt harder today than it did going in. I feel like because it's hotter today. Definitely felt it, but we did it. All right.
Get the dog in there.
Sandwiches and coffee.
Yeah.
We randomly pulled over and got our post-hike meal. The bagel shop was closed, so we ended up with barbecue, which is really kind of a neat, different sort of treat. Got some, what is it, pulled pork and pulled chicken sandwiches and empanadas and like 10 different kinds of little sauces. Very good, because I am starving. We made it back to the Jeep and we were able to get food, so we have fixed our calorie deficit because we were both starving. And I would say overall, Red did great on his first backpacking trip. It was his first time backpacking, so we've taken him out hiking with his backpack just to kind of get him used to it in previous seasons, but he's never done an overnight trip with it. So this was his first overnight backpacking trip, and he's never slept in a tent before. So he's done camping in the Jeep, he's done a lot of camping with the Scamp, and he loves the Scamp. We were kind of nervous that maybe he was a little spoiled, that he would be, he wouldn't settle because he didn't have the bed. But he actually, his first night he was a little antsy, but that's everybody, their first night camping. You don't sleep as well. You have to get used to it. Second night he did great. He was very snuggly. He like slept on top of me and then slept on top of Pat for like half the night. So that was funny. But he really seemed to have a great time. So we're going to have to do this again. We're already looking at when we can book that campsite again because this was supposed to be a kayaking trip, right? We had to like revamp our packing really quickly and like switch gears because of the weather. So maybe in a month or so, we're going to try to book that same site and put the kayaks on the Jeep and head up there and kayak across the lake to get to that really great spot because the lake is beautiful and I feel like that's the central feature of that park. So we will definitely be back. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for coming along with us on this trip to Round Valley Reservoir. If you enjoyed the video, make sure that you are subscribed and hit the notification bell so that you will know as soon as we post future videos. And if you would like to support the production of our videos, you can go over to Patreon. For as little as $1, you will get early access to our videos, and during that time they are completely ad-free. You'll also get to see a little bit of behind the scenes of what we are working on, what trips are coming up, and what kind of adventures you have to look forward to. So thanks for being here. We appreciate you spending your time with us, and we look forward to sharing our travels with you.
Well, you worried about you and me, the injustice, the next president to be, the news and what you hear, your career. It's time for you to face those fears, and it's all fair to be aware, and I'll be there be scared. Just take a deep breath of air. And 1, 2, 3 to 10, you begin to focus again. And though time flies, we'll have enough to realize this bigger than the both of us.